without further ado, my friends, get those notes ready because we are jumping in to step number 1 of the process, which is acquiring your choir members' videos. Now, there's a couple of things that need to happen up front before you actually acquire that video, right? We've got to educate our choir members, our handbell musicians, our flute members of the flute choir. We've got to educate them on the process. And even before that, we've got to record a track that we're going to send to them for them to record too. Now, on that whole recording of your track, when we jump into step 2 and I actually open up Audacity, I'll go through a couple of tips there as well as in our Q&A of how you can, best practices for recording your track. And I'll take some questions on that toward the end of our time together today. For a thorough explanation of this, we do have this inside of our 30-day virtual choir challenge replay sessions, which I'll tell you more about a little later. But essentially, this is the track that you're putting together, be it live, if you've got some technology in your church, if you've got some technology at school that you can utilize. This is where I tell folks to go first. Like, record that piano part, record that organ part in your sanctuary, record that in the high school auditorium, whatever that looks like for you. Utilize what you have access to first. Now, you can do it all within Audacity. You can create that track in Audacity, or you can even use something that is pre-recorded that you own the rights to. A lot of publishers will give you performance tracks. Like Beck and Horse is doing a lot of that these days. Love what those guys are doing over there, and the fact that they're creating some virtual choir kind of resources for us. So they put those together for you, and you can send those to your musicians. But you're going to need that track to send them. I'm typically sending my musicians that track via email, and sometimes I'll Dropbox it to them. Now, let's talk about the actual things that your singers are going to need. So remember, we talked about the set of headphones. Now, that could be just a regular set of earbuds. It could be something like this. Like here, I've got some earmuff style. Man, these things, I've really worn them out. Kind of earmuffs. And I like to put one over like my head and not covering my ear, and the other one covering my ear. And what that does, and I actually educate my singers on that too, because that allows them to hear the ambience of the room as well as the track that I send to them. So they're going to need some headphones. They're also going to need 2 digital devices. Now, yes, they can do it on one, but I find that lower barrier to entry for our musicians is best if we encourage them to use 2. They're going to have one device, like a cell phone, an iPad. It could even be a computer in front of their face. I prefer, horizontal landscape motion, orientation as opposed to portrait. I think it lays better in DaVinci Resolve. You'll see that when we get into step 3 of the process. But they're going to need to put that camera or that phone, that tablet in front of their face to record their video. Now, the second digital device could be an iPhone, could be an Android phone, a tablet, or a computer, even an old-fashioned CD player, depending on how you're putting your track together and what you're encouraging your musicians to use. And you know them better than anybody. You know what they have access to. We're going to put that one behind us here, and we're going to plug our headphones, encourage our choir members to plug their headphones into that second digital device to listen to the track. Now, when you're recording your track, and I'll dive deeper into this in our Q&A time today, when you're recording that track, you're going to want to give some kind of audio cue, something like a 1, 2, 3 clap, and your singers are prompted to clap with you. That's going to be very helpful in the track when we get to steps number 2 and 3, and I'll show you exactly what I mean in just a moment. So let's quickly recap. I'll have time for one question here. Remember, we're going to have an official Q&A time today after our presentation, to which I'm going to give you myself tonight. I am here for you. I'm here for as long as you need me for the questions when it comes time for our Q&A session together. Let's quickly recap. Your singers are going to need access to some headphones. That could be earbuds, that could be the earmuff style, and they're going to plug that into their second digital device, which could be a CD player that you've preloaded with a track. It could be an iPhone, an Android, a tablet, a computer. It just depends on how you set that up, how you send it to your singers. They're going to listen to that track on those headphones in that second digital device. And their first digital device is the one dedicated to actually recording their video. Horizontal landscape mode is preferred. So write simple in the comments if you think that portion is simple. And again, we're going to have time for questions, all of those things. I love that Jonathan says, I've offered our coursers a CD for those who don't have those two devices. I think that's great. We have one lady in our community, Marcia. She actually solicited for iPhones and Androids from her congregation. Like, if folks aren't using them anymore, could you donate them to the music ministry so we can use them for this purpose? That's a great way to actually get access to those if you know folks don't have them. Let's see here. Ken Rogers says, I heard from a colleague, everyone must have the same equipment and be within a certain physical distance from each other, something like 100 kilometers. I'm not quite sure what you're referring to there, Ken. I bet I missed something. Let's see here. Oh, that's the jack trip. That's the thing you guys are, I know what you're talking about there. Yeah, and that's really high barrier to entry for a lot of folks. And then finally, let's see here. Yeah, Brian, your singers, your musicians will not need any fancy software. They're just going to have their digital device in front of their face to capture both their video and their audio. And that's the beauty of this. They don't need anything fancy. If you start getting into recording software and all that for your choir members to download, or even apps, I'm not a big fan of using apps just because it's higher barrier to entry. Now, again, you know your group. That might work for some groups, but the process I teach is simple, proven, practical, and it just works. And I can tell you hundreds and hundreds of folks have implemented the process with success. And it boils down to your choir members using headphones, a digital device to listen to the track that you send to them, and that device in front of them to capture their audio. And yeah, we're seeing that. Linda, Martha, simple. Claire, simple. James, Nicholas, yes, exactly. It is a simple process. So that is step number 1 of the process. Without further ado, my friends, we are going to dive into step number 2.